On May 27th, outside the Beijing Petition Bureau, an elderly woman, wronged and desperate, shouted, "My family has been ruined and I've been driven to a dead end." Behind her was an endless line of people seeking justice. A man in the queue said,
"This line is so long. Even after 2 days and nights of waiting, you still can't reach the end. There are just too many people here. And this is only the line inside. There's another long queue outside. You can't see the end of the outside line, let alone inside. It's overwhelming and endless. How can you queue like this? There are so many people, it's terrifying. In the afternoon, there are still this many people. It's too scary. I've walked so far and I still can't see the end. It's a wasted trip."
The State Petition Bureau, set up by the CCP and part of the State Council, mainly handles and receives people's letters and complaints and is responsible for receiving visitors. Every day, a large number of petitioners from all over the country gather here. These ordinary people who have suffered unfair treatment come here with their last bit of hope, seeking justice from the state. But under Chinese Communist Party rule, where can justice be found? In CCP-ruled China, public resentment is boiling over, and people's dissatisfaction with the government has reached a critical point. Workers' rights protests are also happening across the country. The strike by liquefied gas transport workers in Changsha has drawn significant attention. In a video, a restaurant owner in Changsha, affected by the strike due to the lack of liquefied gas, expressed his frustration.
"Friends, it's really tough for the catering industry in China right now. Does anyone know what's going on with the liquefied gas stations in Changsha? We haven't had a supply for 2 days. We need 1 to 2 canisters of gas every day for our restaurant, and now we have none. But what are we supposed to do? This situation is really troubling. How are you all coping? How are you cooking without gas? Here in Tianjin district, deliveries have stopped completely. The entire workforce is on strike, and you can't buy gas anywhere. I've asked many people, and they all say there's no gas available. Does anyone know what's going on? The catering business is really hard to manage. We are truly innocent victims here."
This incident occurred in late May. Workers transporting liquefied gas in Changsha launched a massive strike because they were dissatisfied with the monopoly in the industry, which had significantly reduced their income. The trigger for this strike was a conflict on May 11th in the Furong District of Changsha, where several gas delivery workers from Hengda Jiangwan stopped the delivery of gas by Meiqi Duo company. From May 20th to the 23rd, nearly 1,000 transport workers blocked the stations of Meiqi Duo, resulting in many workers being arrested. Due to the lack of gas, many residents and businesses couldn't cook or operate, leading to a flood of complaint calls to the mayor's hotline. In the video, a transport worker, recording as he spoke, complained,
"The government is helping the company bosses oppress us. We've invested hundreds of thousands. It's all gone down the drain. They've swallowed it all. This is the company boss."
Here are some videos from the protest site. Regarding the events, a reporter from the Epoch Times connected with local workers to uncover the truth. As early as 2005, Changsha, the capital of Hunan province, had extensive gas pipeline installations. However, residents, restaurants, and vendors in some remote areas still rely on liquefied gas canisters. In the past, there were 10 companies transporting liquefied gas canisters in Changsha. Workers signed contracts with these companies and earned 20 yuan per canister, with transportation costs borne by the workers. This income was crucial for their families. In January this year, the government of Hunan Xiangjiang New Area overhauled the liquefied gas industry, merging the 10 companies into Changsha Hongya Gas Company, with Meiqi Duo designated as the sole distributor. This so-called overhaul was essentially a premeditated government action to monopolize the industry, taking away the workers' livelihood. Naturally, this angered workers. Many workers had invested heavily in vehicles and gas canisters to meet government standards, and now they risk losing their investments. A gas delivery worker from Huanghua Town in Changsha County named Huang Yao has been in the industry for 7 or 8 years. He invested between 200 and 300,000 yuan in vehicles and gas canisters alone. He said, previously the delivery fee for a gas canister was 20 yuan across the board, but after Meiqi Duo's involvement, it dropped to 11 yuan. Workers with high client volumes could earn between 20 and 30,000 yuan a month. He said his main job wasn't delivery, but he still earned 6,000 to 7,000 yuan every month. Many workers have been in this industry for over 10 years, some investing between 700 to 800,000 yuan, supporting their families with this income. He said, initially, the government required us to use standardized yellow delivery bikes, which we bought at our own expense, and we also purchased gas canisters. Now, Meiqi Duo has taken over our customer base and cut the delivery fee by nearly half, directly taking away our livelihood. The workers had no choice but to strike to protect their rights. Huang Yao mentioned the details of the protest. The workers have a group on social media. Whenever a Meiqi Duo delivery truck arrives somewhere, someone posts the location in the group, and everyone goes there to prevent Meiqi Duo from unloading gas for businesses. We demand compensation from Meiqi Duo for our losses. They're doing this because they can't openly confront government departments for fear of being labeled as rioters. Instead, they block Meiqi Duo at gas stations. Huang Yao also revealed that during the strike, many residents couldn't cook, and many businesses were severely impacted, leading to a flood of complaints to government departments. Concerned about the escalating situation, the government compromised with the gas stations, temporarily halting Meiqi Duo's market entry and promising to negotiate with the delivery workers if they re-entered the market. After 3 days, the strike ended and gas deliveries resumed. Although the strike has ended, the underlying issues remain unresolved. During their protests, Huang Yao mentioned that whenever the gas delivery workers tried to defend their rights, the police would come and block them, and some workers were even taken to the police station where they were threatened before being released. For the workers, this matter is only temporarily settled. It's uncertain whether the government will continue to monopolize the market. Given the CCP's tendency to settle scores after the harvest, the workers feel they have no hope and can only take it a step at a time. In China, May ended with a series of strikes. From May 27th to May 31st, there were 5 worker strikes demanding wages, and this is just incomplete data. The CCP government is adept at covering up and deleting posts, so the exact number of worker strikes during these days is unknown. One incident occurred on May 30th in front of Huasheng Construction Company's Dali branch in Yunnan, where dozens of workers held a banner demanding their wages. The banner read, "Shanxi by Huasheng, return our hard-earned money." Earlier, on May 29th, Shenyang Metro's cleaning staff went on strike. Videos showed a large group of workers in blue uniforms gathered in front of the company, demanding answers. One of the workers revealed that the cause of the strike was the transformation of Shenyang Metro from a state-owned enterprise to a private one, which changed employee contracts without prior notice. The new terms included insurance contributions only up to age 50 instead of 55, contributions to a new rural cooperative medical scheme instead of the previous insurance, no triple pay on holidays, and no time off during the Chinese New Year. These changes were unacceptable to the current employees. Here's a video of the workers protesting. The workers are demanding the maintenance of their previous labor contracts. Some employees said they felt extremely wronged because the metro cleaning staff already received the lowest wages in Shenyang, yet their pay was still being cut while their working hours were increased. Most of these protesting workers are middle-aged or older, nearly all of them women. Forcing them to work without holidays, increasing their workload, and paying them less than a normal wage is truly pushing them to the brink. During the protest, one of the cleaning staff fainted on site due to excessive grief. At the same time, there was a wage protest by cleaning staff of the Kaixuanmen community in Taiyuan, Shanxi. Property management withheld wages, triggering the protest. The protest lasted a long time, from May 21st to May 28th. The workers held banners demanding their hard-earned money. Additionally, there was a labor protest in Zhengzhou Aviation Port area, where over 100 migrant workers gathered at the urban investment company from May 27th to May 28th to demand their wages. According to insiders, the company's funds, intended for paying the workers, were misappropriated to pay other units, leaving no money for the road construction workers. In the sweltering heat, these protesting workers appeared very pitiable. It remains uncertain if the migrant workers will ever receive their wages. Due to economic impacts, it has become common in China for workers' wages to be used to cover government financial deficits. For the Chinese government, the biggest problem is their financial liabilities, primarily caused by corruption and the cost of maintaining social stability. As the 35th anniversary of the Tiananmen Square incident approaches, CCP authorities are beginning to tighten control. In Beijing, Guizhou, and other regions, dissenters, rights activists, and petitioners have been detained by the police. However, due to severe financial constraints, many dissenters are no longer forcibly taken on so-called vacations, but are instead forced to resume work. According to reports from Beijing, dissidents Zhang Jiangwan and Hengda Jiangwan were forcibly put to work by the police, while human rights lawyer Pu Shiqiang was taken to Wutai Mountain in Shanxi for tourism, and independent journalist Gao Yu was forcibly taken from her home to stay in the outskirts of Beijing. An individual who wished to remain anonymous for personal safety reasons stated that this year the police did not take Gao Yu out of town for tourism. Instead, a police station officer and a community director were instructed by the district police to take her to the outskirts of Beijing on May 30th for forced sightseeing. Another Beijing resident who also requested anonymity mentioned that Zhang Jiangguo, He Depu, Hu Jia, and Li Wei have been forcibly put to work. Last year, they were forced to travel, but this year, due to budget constraints, the government has reduced stability maintenance expenses. Previously, the cost of taking these individuals on forced tours was covered by the state security, but now the expenses have shifted to the community offices, which are also short on funds. As a result, these tours have been downgraded from cross-province trips to local county visits. Those previously forced to travel within counties are now confined to their homes under forced work conditions. With no funding, the police and community personnel even lack the budget for train and plane tickets. Cheng Xiaofeng, a dissident from Zhuzhou, Henan, reported that the state security has repeatedly warned him not to leave his home during this period. Many active dissidents in his circle have received similar warnings. Due to the lack of funds, the police stations are also trying to shirk their responsibilities. In previous years, dissidents were taken on trips, but this year, this has not been mentioned. In the past, the CCP government used significant human, material, and financial resources to maintain stability during sensitive periods, including religious persecution, suppression of protesters, and surveillance of social media and phone communications. Last year, it was revealed that the CCP's stability maintenance budget reached 200 billion yuan, a 6.4% increase from 2022, and it even exceeded military spending at times. While such spending might have been barely sustainable during economic boom times, now local governments across China are burdened with high debts, and economic conditions are dire. Government revenues are declining, and at times they can't even pay their own employees, let alone fund stability maintenance. Regarding the increasingly frequent labor movements in China, former Beijing lawyer and chair of the Canada-based Federation for a Democratic China, Lai Jianping, told the Epoch Times, "Under the current circumstances, there are more labor rights movements in mainland China than ever before, and the incidents are more intense. Many people are now facing extreme poverty, unable to maintain a normal life, support their families, pay for their children's education, or afford medical expenses and mortgage payments. These people have no choice but to stand up and defend their legal right to survive by demanding wages and jobs." Historian Li Yuanhua, based in Australia, believes that the intense worker resistance is mainly because they are truly unable to survive. He said, from the CCP's perspective, the elites are plundering social assets, and these people at the bottom have been squeezed to the point where their basic survival can no longer be guaranteed, so they have to stand up. Since the end of China's COVID-19 policies, in late 2022, there have been numerous large-scale labor rights protests. With the worsening economic situation, labor protests have become more frequent, with multiple incidents occurring daily. As Lai Jianping mentioned, China is now a tinderbox, with unemployment and layoffs affecting various sectors, leading to continuous protests. Coupled with economic decline and a lack of funds, the CCP might be entirely incapable of suppressing these protests. As the ancient saying goes, when the people no longer fear death, what is the use of threatening them with death? The Chinese people, having reached a point where survival is becoming increasingly difficult, naturally do not fear the so-called suppression by the government. As predicted by Lai Jianping, faced with limited stability maintenance forces and an endless stream of protests, the CCP is ultimately powerless to respond comprehensively. They can only choose to suppress the larger or more sensitive protests to a certain extent. Thus, to some extent, the increasing number of protests poses a significant threat to the CCP's regime. If mishandled, the CCP could ultimately be undone by the rights movement.